Hello, my name's Alex Walters, and I write crime novels. I've written 16 novels to date, set in different locations, some set in Outer Mongolia, some set in Manchester, some set in the Scottish Highlands, which is where I now live. But I'm here today to talk to you about my new book, which is a book called Small Mercies, and it's the first in a new series set in the Derbyshire Peak District. I've long wanted to write a book about the Peak District because it's the area I grew up in, it's the area where I spent actually most of my adult life, so I know it very well indeed. And it always struck me as an area that would lend itself very well to crime fiction. It has spectacular landscapes, it has chocolate box villages in the Peak District National Park itself. It has surrounding areas which are sort of urban and gritty in Sheffield and in Derby and in Chesterfield. It has areas of deprivation, some of the ex-mining villages and mining towns and so on. And I thought the combination of all those different locations would provide some fascinating settings for future crime novels. And Small Mercies is the first in that series. It features a character called D.I. Annie Delamere, who's a young, enthusiastic detective working in the Derbyshire Constabulary. She has the burden of being the daughter of Margaret Delamere, who's a former assistant chief constable with the force, who's now reinvented herself as a right-wing radio and TV pundit, talking about policing matters and law and order and similar issues, and who proves to be a constant embarrassment to her daughter, particularly since her daughter is also the partner of a left-wing Labour MP called Sheena Pearson, who represent all the local constituencies and whose views are, as you might imagine, very different from those of Margaret. So that sets up some of the tensions. I thought I'd read you a small excerpt from the book. This is a piece fairly early on in the story where Sheena herself is facing a right-wing protest outside her constituency office. She's made some disparaging remarks about a right-wing agitator called Mo Henley, who's known to his followers as Bulldog. As a result of that, she finds a crowd gathered outside her office chanting various rude things about her. And Sheena, being Sheena, decides that the only thing she can do is go and try and confront them and perhaps then try and engage with them and have a debate. And so this is where the scene starts, Sheena leaving the constituency office. She unlocked the front door and stepped out into the street. The man in the Union Jack t-shirt was still remonstrating with the police officer. As she moved closer, she heard the officer say, "I'll ask you one more time, sir. Please leave the area. You're causing a disturbance. If you continue, I'll have no option but to take some action." Bloody typical, the man was swaying slightly. "We know our rights under common law, rights of peaceful protest. It's in the Magna Carta." "Peaceful protest, yes, sir. We've been very tolerant so far." "Tolerant? It's not your job to be tolerant. It's your job to uphold the law, to uphold our common law rights." The man had finally noticed Sheena approaching. "There she is. There's the one." "Sir, she's a traitor, that's what she is. Selling the country down the river into the hands of foreigners and, sir, I must warn you." Sheila really wasn't sure her presence was helping the situation. There wasn't much she could do about that now. She spoke as calmly as she was able. "I understand you're protesting about my comments about Mo Henley. I'm very happy to discuss them with you if you'd like to." The man started jabbing his finger in her direction. "You libelled Bulldog. That's what you did. You said he was a fascist. Like Hitler. We fought 2 wars against Hitler. We shouldn't have bothered. The country's full of..." "I'm very happy to discuss these issues with you. I'm sure we won't see eye to eye, but we can at least debate in a civilised way. We can do it now if you like. Just you and me." The man seemed taken aback by the offer. "You've just tried to bamboozle with facts. I know people like you with your public school educations. Treat the likes of me like dirt." "For what it's worth," she said, "I grew up in a council house and I went to a comp in Ilkeston." She could tell he didn't believe her, though every word was true. He spat at her feet and took another swig of his beer. "You're just a traitor, that's what you are." She could see, from the corner of her eye, another police car drawing up on the far side of the street. It was clear the man had seen it too, and was considering how best to beat a semi-dignified retreat. He turned back to the police officer. "See, you brought in the cavalry. Can't deal with the likes of us on your own. Too tough for you. If you and your associates would just kindly disperse and leave the area, we'll need to take no further action," the officer said. "Otherwise we will arrest you." The man glanced back at the others standing behind him. "We know we're not wanted, don't we, lads? OK, we'll go for the moment. We know our rights. You mark my words. Soon the people will rise up." He stared at Sheena, the veins in his reddened forehead standing out. "And traitors like you will be the first to be strung up." 2 more police officers emerged from the police car, and were crossing the street to join them. The man turned and said, "Go on, lads, we'll leave it for now, but we'll be back." They began to move away, still chanting, "Traitor, traitor," some of them pointing at Sheena. "I'm sorry," she said quietly to the police officer. "I don't think I helped that, but I felt I just couldn't ignore them." "You're in a difficult position, ma'am," the officer said, in the same tone he might have used in response to a polite question from the Queen. "But we'll try our best to—" But Sheena never discovered what it was the officer would try his best to do. The sound of the gunfire was sudden and shocking, the harsh noise echoing around the empty high street. It took her a moment to realise what she'd heard, another moment to realise that there was now warm blood running down her face.